very much this split for me feels like a team that needs that agency through the mid lane. They need that mid lane that can roam like a maniac, perhaps play towards that bot lane, play towards that top side with a prior matchup in bot lane that can potentially bounce pressure back and forth.
And already, right, with these slight bans toward the mid lane, just the Talia in itself speaks to that potential roam style that we could be expecting to see. We do have our first picks already on the board. Graves locked in for BDS Academy. Could be that flex between the top or the jungle has been more prevalent in the jungle in recent weeks, so may look to see Shu take that one through as well. Aphelios locked in for Exakick. This is a really statement pick for him, one of his most played throughout EU Masters, and once again just coming out into a hyper carry state.
It's going to be the RE as well, and we spoke about how it's a champion that's got a nerf. It's still going to be heavily prioritized. But what is the response here from BDS Academy? Are they going to take potentially Lissandra? Are they going to maybe look for the Talia, something like that? Something that maybe will punish this pick.
And this is still the patch where you can get away with LeBlanc. LeBlanc really got removed from durability patch, but 12-9 you can get away with it. It's a Victor instead, so going for what is ultimately a weaker laning phase in the mid lane for Rika, but you are going to be scaling up incredibly well. Those team fights later on are going to be a very powerful place for BDS Academy already, and they have the option now to, just go for that Nautilus in the bot lane if they want to get the Aphelios lockdown or match their AD carries here. Jinx Aphelios is a meta that we've seen and feels a bit Resident Sleeper, right? The amount of times that we've seen this matchup come through, but we've got one more week left of it.
I'm not massively happy with this. I feel like Jinx is a champion that fell somewhat out of favor with some of the changes that were happening. It seems like maybe it's something that we're defaulting to out of comfort. Mm-hmm. I can understand that for the first week. Some people are trying to, just get back into the groove of things. Ooh. Nivea being hovered, it wouldn't make sense here. I've got excited there, but the RA has already been off there. Lilia is a champion. It's being picked a lot more. I know, for example, on the next patch, it's something that is being utilized a lot more with a lot more tank stats. You go like the Frozen Heart, potentially, Demonic Embrace, stuff like this. I'd be interested to see whether it is that brand of Lilia or it's the more traditional Lilia that we're used to seeing. But heading into the second ban phase, what are some things that we think need to be taken off the table?
Top lane and supports, right? What you want to do for LDLC here typically is set up for your blind pick. So they're going to get rid of bad support matchups, it looks like, and then potentially blind pick for DOS on 4. They get rid of the Tom Kench, going to look toward maybe the Braum as well to be removed. That seems like that same vein of support that they want to go for. And then they may just look to pick themselves up a Leona or a Khan, something that can force and engage. Because so far for LDLC, they don't have too much just yet. They've got pretty good pick tools, right? The bowling ball into a sleep can be very useful from Yike. You do have the pick potential of Ica using the Ari, using the Everfrost to find somebody isolated. But if you get DOS on, there's one of these heavy engages, it means that you can utilize Aphelios incredibly well because he's going to get an insane amount of team fight pressure just by somebody being able to engage and set up the fights.
I think important to note, I'm not entirely sure how well it fits the composition, but important to note for Adam is this Olaf change. I believe it's on 12.9. You might have to correct me there. Rude dude.
Olaf was on this patch, yeah.
Olaf is on this patch. One of his staple champions that he plays in this top side, different kind of champion, I think could be very viable. Top lane, it's just about whether they want to pivot this Graves potentially into the jungle, whether it breaks or makes their composition.
Now, Olaf for that blind in the top lane, certainly not going to be, or you would expect to be fairly risky for BDS. They do still have the opportunity to flex that Graves up, but sort of expect it to be in the jungle at this point. And LDLC, they're now, like I say, setting up for their support on 4. Have to see what they end up going for with DOS. I don't think that this Lilia particularly fits the brief, but they could go for something along the lines of a Lulu as well. And it is just going to be the Rakan that I mentioned in the earlier phases that, you want that engage, you want to try and set up for fights. This is exactly the champion to do it. You have 2 immobile backliners. If DOS can find that engage, can knock up Crowny, knock up Rika, get those 2 charmed, it means the team fight becomes incredibly easy for LDLC.
In response here, just looking at what BDSA Academy are going to take on this rotation, looks like they're going to pivot towards a Zillion, just as the last few seconds time down here. Nice little pun. Just last second going to change to the Nautilus. I like this. I think the makes more sense in terms of allowing a bit more engage for their composition. I think it's going to round them out. We're going to see what potentially what Adam or Shia is going to be locking in here. Is it going to be the Graves going jungle? Is it going to be going top?
I really like this Nautilus pickup as well, just to mention. Thought that they could have taken it earlier on. They opt into the ADC trade in the early stages so they don't get banned out. But Nautilus is always what you want to take versus hyper carries, the likes of a Jinx, likes of Aphelios. When you press the depth charge, it means you can't get away from it, or you eventually get knocked up. So there's an impending CC to come through. Makes a lot of sense up against the likes of an Aphelios. Really nice pickup for Aerodot down in that bot lane. With the Sion blind pick, this Aatrox is honestly a really good pick into it, one of the more expected matchups to go for. There is the one small opportunity they flex Lilia to top lane, because Lilia does very well versus tanks if they want something different, but I expect it to be one of these more bruiser, tank engage style top laners. That is just not the case, and they opt into even more damage. A lot of pressure then on DOS for this game, because he's going to be their leading source of engage, but LDLC, they have a lot of damage coming out of this composition.
It's a lot of damage. For you, Rude Dude, just come in summation of these drafts, what do both of these teams really need to get going in this early game, in this mid game? What makes these compositions tick?
Yeah, I think the early and mid game should be fairly quiet, honestly. We have Jinx Victor on one side, and then we have Aphelios Gangplank on the other. You want to get both of these champions on either side to that late game stage. We're looking through the early stages for potentially some jungle mid pairing from LDLC. Yike and Ica likely going to be able to get something going using that slightly more prevalent mid jungle power through the early game, but I think a lot of pressure may be on Erdot and Shio to group up, try and find some engages in their own right. If you can use all the CC that Anolos provides, or the damage that a Graves provides, you can quite easily pick off a Lilia who's potentially a little bit
Rift almost immediately seeing some action. BDSA Academy walking into this bot bush here, getting their early ward out, potentially looking to catch out any enemies that they can spot. And it's going to be potentially the chance that they move into the bot side jungle of LDLC to try to get some early vision.
Nautilus and Sion level 1, certainly fairly powerful. I like to see BDSA making their moves, recognizing that they've got this advantageous level 1. Really well played as well from LDLC. On the flip side, they see 5 people showing in the bot lane, immediately walk into the topside jungle of BDS Academy, put their own ward down. So there is going to be shared information on both sides. Both blue buffs are pretty much warded out, and you expect at that point that both junglers are going to know where one another are starting in that case. The red buff also actually warded for LDLC, so they have complete information just in case.
Yeah, just to be 100% sure. I mean, most of the time you'd assume if it's one, it has to be the other, or if it's not one, it has to be the other, but they just wanted to double check. Shio are going to be starting on this blue buff with a solo start, and conceivably it should be the case. We kind of expected it to go this way. They're impacting both sides. Shio has to play towards the spot side, I think, in the early game.
Yeah, and Yike as well, pathing up toward that top side of the map. Gangplank's level 1 actually deceptively strong, and he's even gone for the Corrupting Potion as well, so there's a lot of in-lane sustain capability to try and potentially bully Adam out of the laning phase. Has gone for the Grasp, has obviously elected to go Sion with a Doran's Shield, so there's a lot of tankiness innately in that top lane matchup to begin with, and we've already got some action going on. I think bot lane there was a hook at least for the start off.
Didn't quite manage to catch it in the end there most of the time. At the moment, we're having a look at that frog descending back into the wall there. And, you know, sometimes it's nice. I mean, me and you, Rude Dude, we come from the UK. We're very used to watching David Attenborough nature documentaries. We're just having a nice little look at the surrounding of the jungle right now.
Yeah, this is obviously the early clear from Graves. Nice to see a blue smite. Just gets you more efficiently round to the rest of the rift. You can see on the minimap as well that we have got Lilia, who's pretty much done the reverse clear now. Both of these junglers have gone for the same camps, and Yike already a camp ahead. That just speaks to the Lilia clear speed and the fact that Yike in this game should be out on the map for that initial play, the post-clear play that you go for as a jungler. Even if it is just to secure a Scuttle Crab, you'll be there ready and waiting earlier on than your enemy jungler.
Absolutely. It's nice to actually have a look at the mid lane matchup so far. I mean, we spoke about in the preamble, when we were talking before we went on live, we talked about what are some players we want to spotlight, and we've seen a lot of Shio so far in this game. I can say his Graves clear is somewhat good.
we give the thumbs up. He passes
Absolute
the seal of
thumbs up.
approval.
Yeah,
stacking quick draw, auto attacking, beautiful.
It's going to be a bit of a trade back and forth in this bot lane. We spoke about how it's important for BDSA Academy in the way that they want to play to be able to get this bot lane ping-ponging waves back and forth to exuberate that kind of pressure. Yike going to be moving into enemy jungle, getting that ward down for that second spawn of the camps when the level 2 camps come around.
Well, that's an aggressive ward as well. I really like that, using the timeout on the map fairly effectively. You can just tell by the way that the clears have gone, right? Full clear plus crab for Yike in the time that it's taken Shio to get to the crab, and Yike using that timer to get a ward down, get some deep vision in, and that will be very useful for them, because if you can see where the Graves is starting, again, you imagine he's going to, base path back up towards that top lane and start the cycle of the camps again, get that Gromp Wolves into the bot side going again. And when you have all of this vision completed in that top side, there's 2 wards down already, they're just going to be able to track Shio so incredibly effectively, where on the bot side of the Rift, it's not quite the same state. Yike has 1 ward on the other side of the Gromp wall that's not going to spot him taking it.
A big thing here is the fact that the BDSA Academy have not managed to crash this wave here. We talk about the tempo matchup in the jungle. Lilia, obviously a champion that clears significantly faster. You can see her being a camp up, which means getting that ward is seconds traded in by the Lilia in terms of getting to that camp faster. She's not going to be moving to the wall. She's about on a camp ahead. I'd be interested to see whether Yike can transition this tempo advantage into any conceivable further advantage on the map.
Yeah, I think the onus of both of these teams is to make sure that they're keeping themselves safe in the early stages. Obviously, there's a couple playmakers in the Nautilus, in the Rakan, but for the most part, like we mentioned in the draft phase, right, we have a Phelios and a Gangplank on one side, a Jinx and a Victor on the other. Team fights late game are what both of these teams are looking for, and that makes it even more exciting as a spectator, because it's going to come down to the execution. It's going to come down to these earlier stages in the game to see who can generate those leads, who can use the small map movements around, potentially an early game Rift Herald, potentially just the bot lane push could be enough to start you off for getting a play going. And LDLC, they look like they were going for a dive there. Airdot still just lurking, making sure that Crownie is safe to get these waves underneath the turret, and you can already see just the tension building at least. First 5 minutes, no particular action, but a lot of trading of resources.
So what would you say, Rudu? Do you think there's blood in the water? You think these people are ready to really take the first strike in this game? To me, it feels like a controlled game so far.
Yeah, there's like we say, not a lot of action to come from the early game, particularly when you do have these hyperscalers. Rika wants to get those Victor books going early on, start to secure some upgrades, and that can be a bit of an incentive for a Victor to go for fights. The issue with Victor fighting early on is that he kind of sucks, unfortunately. Just the way that Victor as a champion works out, you don't have any of your upgrades, means that you're just half the champion really that you are when you have all 3 of those. But Rika has done a very good job so far, even in CS with Ayaka, crashes a wave, going to get another reset off and secure another advantage through that mid lane.
Yeah, I think important to note here is that it's going to be Exakit taking his first base of the game here, getting somewhat stopped out by Erdot there. It's going to mean that Crownshot comes back to lane with an item advantage just for now. And whether anything can be done with the wave state. Yeah, he might actually. Okay. I don't think he quite manages to get it on the turret. If that was Hillisang, then he would have walked up and ignited him.
He would have burned Flash for that. Yeah, exactly. You've burned some summoner spells at the very least. That's for sure. Now, I mean, not going for it here certainly does make sense. You don't want to be giving away those summoners unless it's absolutely imperative.
It would have been entertaining at least.
True. That is a fact. Entertainment is why we're here. Trading on the top side, but
it's a heavy trade. Ragnar's trying to find a barrel here. Shio's coming around the side here. Ultimate comes out from Ragnar, Ragnarok, and that's going to be him going down. Burns the ultimate. But that's going to be first blood over to Shio, and a crucial shift in the jungle matchup.
Yeah, really nice timing from Shio. Actually clears his bot side camps and makes his way up to the top lane. Makes a lot of sense. Reverses his clear from the early stages of the game. But it does give over this chance now for LDLC to go to the Dragon. Exakit has a bit of a decision to make whether he wants to help with that or secure the wave. And it looks like just with the utilization of mid-priority as well, and also the fact that Shio is just not here, LDLC may well be able to get away with this one.
Yeah, the pressure owed to them from the mid lane push there is going to mean they can translate this into a cross map with the Drake. It's a nice little trade. Obviously, you wouldn't have liked your Gangplank to go down this early in the game because you obviously wanted to get into that safe position in the game, but a Drake is not a bad response.
No, it's the best of the bad situation that LDLC had been dealt, right? You've got Shio on the top side. He does get first blood. That's a serrated Dirk in the inventory for the Graves, looking likely toward that Umbral Glaive start and sort of superior vision ability.
Important to note here is that Graves is on the Rift Herald here. Doss is trying to move up with that level 6, but I don't think it's going to be potentially possible for them to get through here. Doss is waiting in the wings here. Erdo gets engaged on. He can't quite find a way out here. Has the flash available, but Ika's going to take that. It's a brilliant setup play from Yike and Doss here to catch Erdo out.
Yeah, look at the pink wards as well for LDLC. Complete control over this bot side, owing to that dragon they were really able to get earlier on. And it just sets up for this play. They can move through the jungle. They can catch out Erdo on his roam back. Ika able to just withstand a bit of pressure from Adam in the mid lane as well. And so far for LDLC, that one response play in with the dragon, very nice.
So this is big. Nautilus and Graves are going to be here just about in time. I think Crownie does have to burn that flash. But the Graves, on terms of the top side, he managed to get that Rift Herald. But he sacrificed his bottom cam switch. So the red and the Wraiths are going to get taken away. It's big for Yike in terms of trading that Rift Herald for this.
It's now a slow burn. What are they going to get from that Rift Herald? Because it's the impending pressure that comes from a Rift Herald, right? It's been picked up currently. It's just an item in Sheo's inventory. What it could be is a full turret. It could be breaking open mid lane after they get a successful gank. Similarly, in the top lane, if they can repeat it. Or it could just be those initial 2 plates. We have to see what Sheo can get away with, what the execution on the Herald looks like. But right now, it is still LDLC favoured. It's only slightly, but they've got that gold lead.
It is going to be difficult. I mean, it was very good of Sheo to be able to get that first blood on the top side, but I think the Rift Herald solo might have been slightly too greedy. I would have liked to potentially seen the team set up for more of a beneficial map play, because sacrificing those bot side camps and accelerating Yike forward might come back to bite him.
And if it does, of course, then that's obviously the regret that they're going to have to think about a little bit later on. But for the time being, with that, with that Rift Herald, that the Graves is going to get some gold regardless. And so far for this early game, kind of as expected, honestly. There's not really been too much action. There's been 2 kills on either side, 1 objective on either side as well. But for the most part, quiet, timid early stages. Some sort of threats of dives as well. And I wonder if LDLC are able to capitalize on Crownie's lack of flash.
Yeah, Crownshot's lack of flash is a big talking point for a roundabout. If I do my maths correctly on that, I'm thinking about 3 minutes or so, maybe slightly less. Obviously, he does have that cleanse available in regards to potentially a Rakan ultimate, for example, the Lily Asleep. But it's just about getting onto him and whether they can keep him up here. Adam might get E'd here by Ragnar. Ultimate comes down, manages to block out the ultimate as well. Sleep is really very nice. Clean. Really nice 1-2 play there from Yike, and Ragnar manages to find Adam being a bit too greedy under the tier 1.
Yeah, importantly, Ragnar with some really good positioning managed to put himself in front of the Scion so that the unstoppable onslaught couldn't come through. Adam, greedy a little bit with the flash there, would have been able to get away had they used the flash and unstoppable onslaught, or at least force the flash from Ragnar in response. Instead, burns both summoner spells, doesn't get away, and Yike finds his first kill of the season in the top lane.
I think both teams demonstrating a good knowledge of cross-mapping here. Obviously, top play goes on, bot lane play happens. We're seeing both sides of the map being exuberated around. That's going to be the Rift Herald coming down. Plate shared between 3 there, I believe. Not exactly the best outcome you would have hoped for.
No, it's not. The thing that now sort of happens is, if you ever take a bad reset for LDLC bot lane, you just lose your turret. Jinx is going to take that within an instant, despite it being, the 4th plate, whatever. If you get that bad reset, that bad timing, then that just gives over a free turret to BDSA. Got LDLC grouping up as 3 now, moving in to try and get some vision. Really good timing on this again, knowing that the bot lane from BDS Academy is going to go for a base. Use this timer to group up, get some priority, maybe get some vision down, and at the very least here, steal a camp.
Absolutely. I mean, it's important that they're playing around these camp timers to further squeeze Sheo out of the matchup. You can see the CS lead, the camp lead, is getting insurmountable at this point.
No flash on Crownie.
Flash on Crownie. This could be that moment, Rude Dude, that you predicted earlier. Can they execute on it? He hasn't quite managed to spot it out yet. That's going to be the stun, and immediately spotted out presciently. We didn't manage to see it, but Iker manages to go down there with flash available. I think he tried to get away from a Nautilus engage potentially. But what was such a great play for LDLC, kind of hampered by the fact that Iker's gone down here, especially with so close to the Drake timer.
Yeah, and those are, extra Victor bucks now for Rika in the mid lane, going to be closing in on that second one, and oh dear.
That's going to be DOS as well. Some quite clumsy play from LDLC here. Getting individually caught out is going to mean that I think that BDSA Academy manages to transition towards the second Drake. That Drake lead potentially not going to be able to be built for LDLC in the way that they would have liked to.
Adam actually teleported down here for this, so this is a big expenditure by BDS Academy. I
think the play here is just for Yike to run top camps, potentially look to set up vision in the topside jungle, and let Ragnarok take some... Ragnarok. I've watched the Thor movie too recently. Let Ragnar take some plates here. You can't contest it.
No. I mean, I think that if you just use Jinx to try and wave clear this, I guess without Trinity Force or any of the likes, Ragnar can't particularly threaten the Jinx under the turret, so Crownie should be okay. But you know who can threaten Dodjake? It's Yike once again.
Oh my god, and Crownie really regretting not having flash once again here. Yike, he might be able to get a return. Last turret shot would have done it, but not quite. And he's just getting flinged around the map and just putting in some very uncompromising situations as Crown Shot.
Yeah, it's a little unlucky. He's just getting moved to the side where there's farm, but there's also happens to be enemies. Yike is doing a very good job at just tracking where there's going to be a free Jinx to kill. They've done a very good job at capitalizing on this no flash AD carry. Now Crowny has that flash available, may well be able to get out of another play at a later date. But 0-2 on the Jinx, you can see that it's taking its toll as well in the CS department. Exakick has been left to pretty much free farm down in this bot lane after off the back of 2 really nice engagements by Yike onto Crowny, and there's that big CS lead. Yes, the item differential isn't particularly paramount at the minute, but you can imagine that as soon as Exakick gets back to base, you're going to really see that one come through, particularly if this turret falls.
Absolutely. I think important to note as DOS engages onto Adam, not going to have too much of a fruitful advantage here. Heavy is the crown, I think is the saying, but reality is we have to look at some other people that might be carrying this game forward. The Victor, obviously picking up that kill from that previous skirmish onto Ica. Graves able to capitulate somewhat of a... the delta between him and the Lily is slightly less because of the kill, 2 kills and assists that he's managed to pick up. There are options for BDSA Academy going forward.
There are, and you know, I'm just going to commend you as well. The Delta is a very nice saying. I definitely like that one.
It's a bit of military trailing, you know, Alpha, Beta, Charlie, Delta, all of that jazz.
I was thinking it's the science. I used Delta in, like, science is the difference, right?
You know, yeah, it is the science. You're giving me way more credit than I deserve. I'm not a scientific man. I'm a word man.
Well, I'll just stop giving you credit. Sorry, my bad.
Well, you know, it happens.
Move on.
That's going to be... Ragnar gets a blue buff for himself there. He's a very happy boy.
Does he? It looks like he could do, but there's a bit of a collapse there too. Smite could steal.
I think he got it. Pretty sure.
Yeah, he did.
That's going to be the bot lane turret taken down as well. And really now, I think the game plan for Yike and Co is to really just consolidate the lead they have, build through, and potentially look to knock on the door of this mid lane turret. Only problem is Shio is answering on the door of this Rift Herald to stop that plan from being able to happen. So I think now it's just about playing for the tier 2 bot.
And I think that, you know, so far, Yike has done a very good job at moving around the map and setting up getting these plays, particularly onto Crowny once again.
Flash is available, but it's not going to matter. Oh, Crown Shot, you are having a screamer. 0-3 as Yike picks up a 3rd kill of the game, killing spree.
Oh, they're going for an engage instead.
Yike has the flash available. It looks like it's just going to be the case that DOS goes down. I'm not sure that Yike needed to die here. That is the... That is the pure... Ooh, and a heal means that a bit more is burnt in a flashy attempt. It looked nice at least, but you can see we'll put that down to not inting. That is down entirely to the loyalty that Yike feels for DOS. He just wanted to save him, even though he was more than likely dead.
No, you are quite right. DOS sort of sacrificed themselves right there. Tanked the Sion ult with full intention of dying, and then unfortunately Yike just got hit by the knock-up as well.
You know, he ain't DOS, he's my brother, you know. I'm not gonna... No man left behind. Saving Private DOS, I think, was the theme there. But unfortunately not able to happen.
And, you know, it wasn't. A really nice return play by BDS Academy to at least get themselves something back on that bot side. It does give a little bit of free time over to Ica to get himself some leads in the... or get himself some advantages in the lanes. But
the response is here, though. Exakick goes forward. It's going to be another kill, I think, just about with Ragnar's ult.
Can they win this?
Can they find Exakick? It's a lot of damage from the ult. It is just going to be DOS, the sacrificial lamb, once again. Maybe not, though. One more oil will do it. Q on the wall does it. Yike goes in now. Passive ramping up. He's going to have a lot of speed here. Can't quite manage to find it in the end. Shio gets away with that Rift Herald base.
And I once again want to commend BDS Academy. Talked about this in the early stages of the draft, that this Graves Nautilus combo with CC plus damage is going to be very prevalent and a real talking point for BDSA. They've utilized it perfectly, right? We've got 4 assists on Erdot. We've got 3 kills for Shio. Those two are pretty much linear in terms of who's been making the play and where they've been doing it. It's been a really good combo between these two to net some kills, catching out lone members of LDLC. And when they've been a little bit too overextended and going through vision that they don't have, these two players, Erdot and Shio, have been there to capitalize.
100%. I think important to note here is look at the vision setup for LDLC here. You're going to have Ragnar rotating down into the bot side, whereas potentially Ica opting in for the base now, probably going to teleport into this dragon. Crown Shot's pushed up a bit too far here.
And it's TP down on one side.
The Goon Squad is well inbound here. Crowny, welcome to your 5th death here. Lilia over the wall. Knock up is going to mean 0-5 for Crowny. And heavy is the crown indeed.
Now, the other 4, right? Flash was burned. They really capitalized. They went for some really weird dives.
Very personal.
Yeah, this one was a little bit also overextended by Crowny there. Stepping a bit too far out, didn't have the safety of the turret. Not that it saved him too much before, and I can respect being the AD carry that just wants to get farm and thinking, regardless, hey, you know what, I got to get that gold come what may. But LDLC, they've done a very good job at picking up on Crowny, who's overextending on occasion. But it's not without saying that BDSA, they have been cross-mapping in response, right? Rika gets this top lane turret. There's Shio once again paired up with Erdot to see if anybody comes a little too close.
Could be a setup onto Adam here. Does have the flash available. I don't imagine him going down too easily. Opting in for the flash. Had a few seconds to think about it. He thought, you know, maybe I can just shrug this off. But eventually he does get over the wall there. Mid lane turret does go down as well. I like the cross map from BDSA Academy, but I think that mid lane turret being open now is going to mean a lot of response for LDLC in terms of what they want to be doing. Sean comes out here, Heaven to Everfrost. Norla's on into response. Hexbringer gets propped. Can they quite manage to do it? Flash forward from Ica there. Q in response. Quick fingers on Shio is a 1-for-1 in the end, but with the plus side of the Gangplank ultimate being burned. And this is just a joke at this point. Crowny... This is like one of those moments where, like, if you ever played solo queue against an Evelyn and you just think, there's no point going to lane anymore. I'll just watch.
Or Twitch, right? The same thing.
Exactly.
Fed Twitch, you're like, oh, can I get this mid-wave? Do I see these invisible members on the map? And this game, right, LDLC, they're not invisible. They can just engage from
I think that's a real testament to how well LDLC are choking out vision around the bot side of the map. They are basically playing invisible champions at this point.
They really are. The lack of vision on this bot side, you can see right now that, granted, BDSA have got a clear path in to this jungle to try and face check and get rid of these wards, but if there were members in there, it would have been a lot more dangerous by BDSA. They had to clear 2 pinks.
I think it's one of those things, right? As a child, you're taught, don't touch the stove because it makes you burn. You don't listen, you do it anyway. Crownshot has touched the stove about 5 times now. So I think he's got a lot of burns on that set of fingers that Jinx uses to operate that machine gun. And it should remind him constantly to not go anywhere unattended.
Yeah, the issue, I suppose, for that is this power jungle support combo that BDSA have been trying to utilize. You know, Crowny's kind of been left on his own intentionally, where Exakick has been farming, and there's always been the jungle support combo of DOS and Yike to support and facilitate him specifically. So Exakick is being allowed a lot of farm, and you can see he's got a lot, most in the game actually thus far, at 2 items already. The second item, Lord Dominic's Regard, to try and cut through Adam, because if we're looking at champions to do that, likely going to have to be this Aphelios.
Let's set up here. Important to note, Adam doesn't have flash, but he's going to have the resistances to just walk away from this. Obviously building that Force of Nature. I like the Force of Nature. I think
it's a very broken item. Have you do you know what? You see the stats and the passive? This item is not balanced.
No, rude dude. I haven't seen the stats. Please elucidate me and the viewers.
If you get to max stacks, you get movement speed. So it's on 6 stacks. So instances of magic damage, which Lilia applies incredibly quickly anyway because she does damage over time.
Ica in a bit of danger here. It's going to be the Nautilus hook right away. Not even the chance to use the ultimate. Yike is around the side here. Onto Erdot now. He has the E out. It's hit Rika in the backline. Oh, no. This could be it's not quite a sleep onto Rika. Teleport in response now. Yike is going to get away here, but DOS again manages to get the W just about away. And here comes Adam. He charges in. E over the wall isn't going to mean much. It is just the 1 kill in response, but they're looking towards the Baron potentially.
Ooh, could be fairly dangerous if they go for this.
I completely tepid expectations there. They are not looking towards the Baron. That would be foolhardy.
It would be. I was kind of expecting them to go and hit it as well. But they do have double TPs available. Granted, Ica's dead, but Ragnar would have been able to join them with teleport. If they can just stop the backs, maybe route catch somebody out, Ragnar's going to get this bot lane tier 2 for essentially free. So supposing he can get out here, going to use barrels maybe to movement speed or just walk out freely.
He's fine.
Drake spawning in 1:15. This is that time in the game, right? 22, 23 minutes where teams start to just randomly decide to go for trades. It's not random in any capacity, actually. I should not use that word, but the idea, the notion that one team is prioritizing a Drake here, not particularly prevalent.
I could give you more credit and say you meant like random in like the mathematical meaning of the word, you know?
You should, and that
makes you sound more smart.
Thank you.
Yeah,
that was what I meant.
It's like how you covered me earlier. In terms of covering, BDSA Academy covering around this and wrapping themselves like a cobra around this bot side jungle. Try and take away some of these camps. Ica's obviously pushing that top wave, has the teleport available. LDLC might go for something a little bit cheeky here in terms of their vision setup.
This is that trade that I was talking about, right? We've got a Drake spawning, and this is on vision, right?
They do it pretty quickly. Ragnar's pulled the trigger here. DOS is going to be the man tempering fate in the mid lane as Adam goes straight in here. How much can he do in terms of disturbance?
Yeah.
They've got it almost immediately. A lot of damage. Now they turn onto Adam. It's a big Jinx ultimate. Adam's going to be in the passive trying to get any damage he can onto Exekick. Exekick's in the pit here. He has the flash available, but he's just playing it safe so far. Rika has gone in big. A cleanse comes out for him on the backline here. Yikes trying to find something as well. Shio on that pink ward. Rika's doing a lot of damage,
Help
but
Exekick!
they can't quite manage to find anything. Exekick holds that flash until the very last second. So much discipline being demonstrated from LDLC. They get the Nash on a turn of a whisper here. As Exekick goes in, a lot of damage. They can't quite manage to find the Nautilus hook, but Ica goes into the flash onto Erdo here. Such thin margins. You would have thought we were on the durability patch because people are surviving such small amounts of HP.
Rika is doing so much work for BDSA, pretty much single-handedly carrying that fight. Took Exekick down to 10% HP, able to pretty much withstand all of the LDLC engage. It comes, unfortunately, for nothing.
This is big.
Because LDLC still get the Drake, they still get the Baron, they put themselves to Soul Point.
Absolutely
but the Victor,
huge. And you talked about how LDLC is a team that can enable themselves in multiple ways. These guys are the people, they can turn on a nice edge to bring a game into their advantage. You saw it there. They saw their opening without a second's hesitation. They managed to take that Nash and then managed to get position on the Dragon as well. The best of both worlds. I've made a Miley Cyrus. I've made a Miley Cyrus reference in my first LFL cast. Can't say I was expecting that. But as we see the replay here, got voice crack as well. Such discipline from them here. Look at how Exekick holds his flash for the entire fight. DOS operating on the side here with Yike. Rika did a lot here in terms of like dodging the barrel here, cleanse forward, almost managed to find Ica. It's a different fight if some of these small margins go a different way.
Yeah, exactly. And then, like you say, Exekick playing with discipline, recognizes, okay, we tried to fight, LDLC did try and bail him out, use the flash to get away. And then it's this step forward into the face of Rika, and level 15 Victor is not somebody that you can just walk into like that. Surprisingly, the Ica can't finish the deal onto Erdot right there, but again, like you say, this game of margins so far.
Absolutely, Shield doesn't quite manage to get engaged onto there. Going to get the R space out there. Belly Assault goes wide as well. Ragnar is doing so much damage with that barrel as well. DOS is the one who manages to find the kill, but with this Baron, they are knocking on the doors of BDSA Academy's base here. Finding out what they can find, what kind of a deal can they get. It's the sleep onto Crowny, but no follow-up is quite managed to be found. It is going to be the inhibitor, I think they managed to find for themselves here. Adam gets engaged on. A lot of damage onto DOS. Spinning off a little bit more than he could chew here, and Crowny's coming up big! Crowny's coming up massive, he comes up with a passive here. It's a kill for Rika onto Ragnar. And BDSA Academy at the pinnacle of destruction managed to find a last saving grace to stop the onslaught from LDLC.
They hold their inhibitor, there's no pressure coming through, now a teleport!
Oh, it's going to be the Hextech Gate that manages to get them out of there.
Oh, they didn't see Exekick. They didn't know that Exekick couldn't get out, and he's able to just shrug it off, just walk away. Now, they have a little bit of time out on the map, BDS Academy, to maybe try and make a play, make a move on the Rift, but it's unfortunately just going to be securing their own jungle camps, getting themselves a little bit more gold back into their pockets. LDLC doing a great job at breaking open the base, but BDS Academy doing a great job at holding the line. Look at Rika in these team fights, because he is the one constantly hitting max range lasers onto priority targets. He's 3-0-3 this game, 9 stacks on a Dark Seal, and with this replay, right, they get the inhib right here, but DOS, like you said, just a little too far forward, goes for the engage. Rika pretty much pops him, and then there's a Jinx Rocket from downtown to finish the job. Crowny spacing this GP incredibly well, gets a 700 HP Q to the face, but this entire time it's Rika who's just looking to constantly put out the damage, and even though that Chaos Storm isn't ready, he's able to still dish out DPS regardless. Rabadon's now.
Completely agree with you on that point. Rika is very much the man to watch now. Now with both summoners available, this next fight in around a minute 40 or so is one to look at in terms of what can he get done. He's picked up that Banshee now, which is going to give him a bit more protection against, for example, sleeps, charms, stuff like this. Can it be the difference maker for bringing BDSA Academy back into this game?
Yeah, this is a really good item, because the one way that Rika dies, really, the way that he's been playing and spacing, is by a lone bowling ball that just rolls down mid lane, catches them out, gets asleep. This immunes that, and it gives you a free pass, and then puts you on a bit of a timer where you do have to be careful. So it's really wise itemization. Has had this for, was his second item to be picked up. Now opting into that Rabadon's Death Cap as third item, looks across the board and sees that in terms of magic resistance, we've got the Locket from DOS, which is about all that's being shown. There's nothing across the board of anybody else. So with the magic pen that comes from Ludens as well, you're going to be dealing near true damage at this point when you're looking at the Victor build specifically. No Sorcerer Shoes yet, or this game entirely, but you know, you've got a lot of flat damage coming out.
It's a bit less of an advantageous vision setup for this final dragon than LDLC has been used to in this game. Obviously, you see the vision setup on the map, mostly in the favor of BDSA Academy, and Shio's going to be coming in to reset that with a late reset from Ica. But Ragnar has that top side available. I wonder if it's the case, with so many Drakes stacked in their favor, whether they look to potentially open up the top side of this map. It looks like that might be the case, and they might just play through mid.
They can just go for a trade here if they want, right? Because BDSA are committed and sort of need to secure this dragon. They're the ones on threat of Soul Point. It gives LDLC this window to just do what they want on the other side of the rift, right? 14 seconds on Drake.
I'm confused what they're doing
15 seconds on Baron.
Because for me, it looks like they want to play through mid and then transition the Prio into a dragon. You would have traditionally thought they were a bit late to this setup here, but it seems like BDSA are acquiescing to the demands that LDLC are putting out on the map, and they have come to contest this Prio.
LDLC
the Baron
can just
obviously
go for
also
the Baron
up as well, very important.
Yeah, exactly. The two timers are overlapped, and this is the difficult decision making that comes with a late game fight. Drake already secured though. Shio just gets that.
Both teams are encircling each other. Adam is going to get chunked out a little bit here. Has that W available to staper some of that damage.
Fight is literally waiting to be broken out. Eyes on Rika and eyes on Ragnar. This is a really good play. So this is trading. Inhib is already open.
Exakik is solo on Nash right now. So many things going on. Ika's gone for the top inhib. Exakik is soloing Nash with Yike
it's a
now.
duo.
And DOS is in the mid lane trying to stop them. So many different directions that they can go on. Ragnar has TP here as well. If they can just delay this, although Ragnar looks like he's going to be teleported on here, so that plan has gone completely out the window here. Exakik trying to find space, trying to find time here. Ica is on the base now. We don't know how quite far he is into it, but all of these recalls are going to be stopped here. That's one turret down in the base. DOS trying to find as much time as possible. None of the bases have been channeled yet, apart from Crowley. He's going to be going back into the base now. Inhibitor and Nexus turret picked up now. But now it's going to be the pivot. With Yike and Ragnar going down, they're going to be able to be okay with what's gone on and just move towards this Baron Nashor.
Yeah, they can set it up. They can take this one down. Rika has enough damage to just do it pretty much off their own back. We've got Shio as well as a big force, but Ica dashing over the wall. He's gone for Crowny.
Ica's on Crown Shot here, and she's found him! Right at the end there, Ari has managed to find Crown Shot for the 6th time this game. How much can it mean here? Exakik is over the wall here.
He's got Inferno.
Doesn't have the armor available. Flash forward onto Rika. It's a double kill for Exakik. The Baron's going so low. Can they find Shio in time?
Shio gets it.
Shio finds the Nash in the end, but Adam flashes out as well. It's a man advantage, but it's only Adam alive. It's only going to be Adam in terms of stopping the base push as the top wave comes crashing. Ragnar is teleported in. Can they find the end here in a statement piece for LDLC?
4 members have fallen for BDSA and 4 members are alive for LDLC. They have all 4 carries ready to take down what is only 1 Nexus turret in the base of LDLC. Adam running Anchor to stop it.
He's running Anchor to stop it. The wave is not going to matter too much as that top wave is crashing as well. He's going to be going down as well. Erdok's the only man to save it, but that's a Nautilus. We asked questions of LDLC. What has changed? And they come up answering. Ooh. Not much. And they come with a crucial win in Game 1 of the LFL against BDSA Academy. Their final counterpart in last split. And it's a strong Game 1 performance from the boys.
Oh, that was a good game, Don Jake. That's a great way.
That's a good way to start.
That's a great way to start.